Hello and welcome to my quick patch analysis of Update 2.05 Cataclysm and Co-op. In my eternal wisdom, I recorded the entire patch analysis, all 20 minutes of it previously, without my microphone turned on. So let's go through this quickly because I'm hungry. First big change, we get a new map. It's called Cataclysm. It is a change to Orbital Drill, where they went through it, replaced all the acid with lava, set a ton of things on fire, and then made giant fiery rocks and green rocks fall from the sky. If you're hit by a red rock, you take a burst of damage, and then it leaves a residue behind once it impacts anything. If you stand in that residue, you take fire damage over time. If you are hit by the green rock, it heals you for a burst, and then it also leaves residue. If you go stand in that residue, it will heal you over time. For monsters, which is really important to take note, it does not heal health pool. It only heals armor. So any health you can do, which means if you have Crow and Kala, you can completely ignore the effect of the green stuff. And there have been strategies that have come out where people just max DR, damage resistance, then go sit in green pools and laugh because they can't take health damage. So Crow and Kala really help you if you pick them. What else? New art pass, which I mentioned. Oh yeah, it does not show up in ranked, which is good. We don't want it in ranked. So let's take a quick look at this guy. Oh yeah, we do have a challenge coming in 2 days, 6 hours, 38 minutes, and 4 seconds at the time of this recording. Basically, if you can hit 150,000 wins on either side, you get a skin. Where's the skin? There was a picture of it. I think it was on their Twitter. It's one for Hyde and one for Goliath. If either one can be completed, both can also be completed. So they are completely independent of each other. Well, when you win, the other team loses. But both challenges can be completed and both skins can be completed. Doesn't matter. If one's completed, it's not like the other one is removed. And it does work in co-op, I believe. I don't know. Either way, play games, win games, lose games. Either way, you're going towards the challenge. Just don't throw games and claim that you are trying to help the other team get wins. That's just a dick move. Anyways, they added new co-op, which is basically what used to happen when a monster would leave. You get all progression rewards during it, and apparently the AI has been fixed. Or at least improved. They need to fix the hunter AI because there's a bug where the bots will just teleport around and get stuck, and they don't fight. I had a game where it was literally 3v1 because our bot was just across the map and didn't know how to get to us, and if we take it over, the other bot would start teleporting. So for example, I was playing Hyde originally, I was playing Markov, and we had an Abe who crashed. And so I took over Abe because we were tracking the monster at the time, and I'm wanting to be able to catch up to the monster, so the slows and the tracking darts were very helpful. And then we got in a dome fight, and I look at our map, and Markov was sitting 200, 300 meters away. And when I went to take him over, Abe teleported around and was outside the dome. It was bad. I hope they fix that is the point. But from the sounds of things, they're fixing the monster AI, not the hunter AI. So that needs to happen. Featured character try now, buy now buttons. These are literal buttons on the main menu that when a new hunter is released, so in this case Quantum Kyra, you can go to the training mode to try them against a monster AI, or you can go to the store to buy them with your keys. Makes it easier to find them and unlock them quickly. Markov and Goliath tutorials are now required. This doesn't make a difference for me. I already had to replay it once. So this bullet point is really important for you guys. If you've already played through them, you won't have to play through them again. This is only for players who have not gone through it. This is intended to give better quality on the new players side so that people actually play the tutorials before going into ranked. And that way they have better understanding of how the game works. UI info overlays at character select. Here's a picture of what it is. You get what your abilities do when you're selecting your character. So in this case, you'd have like all the supports right to the left of it. Right to the left. And if you pick Bucket, the ability detail, so guided missile, sentry guns, mechanized recharge, and shield burst will show up there. If you picked, for example, Cabot, instead you'd have his railgun, his damage amplifier, and his dust tagger show up, and then you can figure out what your characters do. Good for new players. Mechanized recharge was the only thing I would have needed, but I figured that out within the first week because I went and asked people. Very good to help new players. And then of course we have balance changes, and these are the things I care about most. So the dome has changed a little bit. When you down somebody, the dome cannot be dropped or cannot be activated. So before it was a 10-second delay, so if I went and I killed the medic and then I decided to disengage, they could revive the medic and have someone else try and chase me and dome me. So for example, if they were running a Sunny, the assault could revive the medic while the Sunny could boost the trapper, and then I wouldn't be able to get away despite me getting that down. Now I have 3 more seconds to escape, which is good for monster players. I'm really happy about that. It lets me engage a bit more safely. For hunters, don't get isolated and you won't have to worry about this at all. Dropship timer. It basically means the monster gets to the longer dropship timer faster by 4 seconds per increment faster. It used to be 10 seconds on stage 2 release, so that's really good change. It used to take forever to get long dropships, especially with the new dropship change. I think they should increase the maximum dropship timer. No, increase the starting dropship timer, but that's not relevant. Wildlife changes. I like all of these changes for both sides. Reaver are a little annoying. They're the monkey creatures. They hurt and are annoying as hunters, and they are delicious food as monsters. They're way easier to kill for both sides, so that's good for both sides. The only real change for at least the monster side is, for example, if I was playing Gorgon and I was just throwing down acid pools so that they would die as they approached me rather than spraying them directly, now they die in half a second as opposed to a full second of being in the acid pools. It's not a huge change for the monster, but it's appreciated. Hunters, of course, way better because they can get those annoying Reavers off them and stop losing health. This guy, it means instead of 1 light melee hit, or instead of... Crap, it still takes 2 light melee hits. But it takes less time on your damage over time abilities to clear them, so you can eat them faster. And for hunters, when someone's being pounced by them, you can clear it off in 2/3 the time, which is really good. Monsters. I put out the guide for Goliath just the other day, so I've been playing him a lot, and I really like this change. He's a bit more mobile, both in and outside the dome. And let's see. It's just a mobility buff. Nothing major for that. Wraith got Supernova buffed, and I believe that's because Supernova was removed from the decoy. So it's a buff directly to the Wraith character. And then they removed the 30-second duration on decoy. I want to talk about that really quick. So before, what happened was decoy is being reworked, and they have plans for it. We don't know what they are, but they're coming up with ideas to try and fix, because Wraith is a noob stomper, where she's extremely strong against people who don't know how to play against her, but she's extremely weak against organized teams because she's a glass cannon. And so if you don't know to break the glass cannon, you die to it because it's a cannon. But if you know how to break it, it's glass. Anyways, the way it was with 30 seconds was they added a change where the decoy had a shorter cooldown, but the cooldown only started when the decoy finally faded. So it was basically a mechanic change that didn't impact gameplay. And then I think that was 2.03 they changed that. 2.04 they accidentally put this in, which is one of their concepts they were putting in for a potential change to how Wraith was working later on. And so before it was like 6 seconds, 5 seconds, something like that. Then it went to 30 seconds. But a lot of people were complaining that decoy was basically immortal. All it took was like a Markov mine and a couple hits, or a Lennox pound and 1 hit, I think, from her autocannon. It was really easy to clear if your assault actually tried, but the reason people were complaining was because they didn't know it was killable. Before, they would take like 6 seconds and they would die, and they assumed, oh, it has a very small health pool, but it was actually timing out. Now, because it had 30 seconds, they had to actually go through the health pool, and they weren't used to that. Excuse me. I really like the change because it made decoy actually distracting and actually forced the hunters to take time to kill it rather than just fly up in the air for 2 seconds and then it'd fade away. It made me actually skill decoy. When I play Wraith, I'll probably go back to maxing out the other 3 abilities and ignoring decoy entirely. So that's what changed. I don't like it. Perks, red perks. Legbreaker, which is the jump height nerf. They're reducing the poison, and they're doing it to all the mobility anti-perks slightly, except Grounder. Grounder doesn't have it. So all the Legbreaker and Fly Swatter are both losing. Crap. Why do I always do that? Are always all losing damage over time, poison. And there's a typo right there. So they're losing poison damage, which is good, because the reason you take this isn't for the poison, that's just a little bonus. The reason you take it is for the jump height reduction, the flight efficiency reduction, oops, and the boost reduction. So for Legbreaker, they rescaled it, but at max level, 3 points, which is what you're going to use if you're playing in any event. No change there, so that's not actually a nerf. For Fly Swatter, there is a nerf. It's 10% for efficiency. So this is technically a buff to the Tinkerbell strat where you go all efficiency, but not really much. And then for Grounder, what they changed was they reduced the duration, which will make a small difference. It's 25% less effective. But usually what I do is I throw out an attack and then I go for an ability right away. I don't wait a second and a half. So I think how this will work is if you're going to try and double dodge, the second dodge will still work for Grounder, but the first dodge will still be reduced. I think that's how the breakpoint will be for its effectiveness. Other perks, let's see. Hunger Feeding Speed loses 2.5%. Savage Nature, which is the climb, feed, and smell, rescaled, so there's no actual changes if you put all your points into it, but your first and second point when you buy it is worth a bit more. So no change for me because I have these fully unlocked. Let's see, Mutated Claws for the major perks, because I've already gone over Fly Swatter, gets nerfed, as do all poison perks. They, even for hunters, they get nerfed, which we'll see in a bit. Feral Instincts rescaled again, just like Savage Nature. No change there. And for 3, Evolve Claw gets nerfed again. It's 10 damage per second, less than it was when I first used it. And Savage Nature, Feed Speed, rescaled again. So at max level, it's no change. Alright, for the hunters, let's scroll this right. Markov gets a 20 damage per second nerf. His range is still better than Blitz's, and I think that's a good change. It rescales him a bit to make him... He's my favorite hunter, or favorite assault overall, just because of his utility in being able to clear multiple targets really quickly and his lack of requiring to aim. So if you're fighting, for example, Gorgon, you can use him to clear out the Spiderling really quick because you just point roughly in the direction and you'll get it. Unlike other characters. So I think that's fair. I think he's definitely one of the stronger assaults, and bringing him back in line will help. Blitz Markov gets buffed early game. So the first 2 tiers of the Lightning, when it's channeling, is 140, 165 versus 125, 150. But the last 2, 250, 275, is still 250, 275. So he does a bit more reliable damage. You don't have to get up to the 3rd tier in order to do more damage than standard Markov. Or you do have to get up to the 3rd tier, but it doesn't hurt you as much for picking Blitz Markov if the monster is very mobile. Slim, this one is one I have tough deciding whether or not he was buffed or nerfed. He definitely has nerfs and buffs in here. So his overall healing output was reduced by anywhere from 18 to 30, or no, 10 to 30. Where he heals himself 10 less, he heals in-capped characters 30 less, and he heals teammates 18 less. But he can heal more often when the monster is at long range because they reduce the spread on his gun. So it's a buff when he's fighting Kraken for sure, and I think it'll be an overall buff. I think he'll be putting out more healing despite this change. But it does nerf him standing right on the monster and doing his best. It lets him get a bit more range on the monster. So if he's being focused heavily, he won't be able to survive as well, which is fine because he was ungodly tanky. But he can now heal his teammates a bit better, even though his teammate heal was nerfed. Hank, self-shield burst nerfed. That's because Hank is a really, really powerful support, so you have to be able to kill him, and if you can't, it sucks. Maggie's machine pistol damage nerf. She's been taking a few of those. It's a little disappointing, but I don't think it's that big a deal. Electro Griffin. I like this change. It's a quality of life change. You can plant the sound spike in 2/3 of the time, and which is nice because I often make the mistake and I move while I'm doing it. So having it appear faster is really good. Just lets you get them up and keep moving. And then this one, the stasis rounds climb speed modifier reduced to 25% from 35%. This one's a really big deal, and it applies to Crow and to Abe as well. Those are their only changes. So I'm really quick going to take a moment to discuss Behemoth, also known as Bob. So Behemoth, as most of you know, cannot jump. He's fat, he rolls on the ground, he's a little lard ball. And when you are fighting him, if you have Crow, Electro Griffin, or Abe, all you have to do to fight him is stand on a cliff, slow him, and when he climbs up, you jump down the other side. And then when he jumps down, you climb up, and you can climb so much faster than him. This change might allow you to at least, when you're playing Behemoth, fight back. It's also good for the other monsters because this is nicknamed roaching. When you are roaching as a hunter, all monsters end up running out of traversals, as long as you don't get screwed and get caught in an abduct or a rock throw or something and completely screw up your climbing. But yeah, all monsters will have to handle roaching at some point, so this will allow them to deal with it slightly better. It will basically require you to be smarter about your positioning, which I like. So then minor perks for hunters. Damage nerf, and this happens to all 3 versions of damage. They all lose 1% damage per tier. So instead of 2, 3, 4, it's now 1, 2, 3. Instead of 7, 8, 9, it's 6, 8, 7, or 6, 7, 8. Wait a minute. Tier 2 force does the same damage as Tier 3 force? I didn't know that. Holy cow. I need to unlock Tier 2 force so I can get a better Tier 3 perk. That is weird. Anyways, Afterburners got nerfed a little bit, 0.5% at max level. And Thrusters, which is the same perk, the Thrust modifier got nerfed 2.5% at max level, which is massive. And Over Thrusters, same perk, gold tier, 2.5% as well. So you no longer fly like you have a permanent sunny glued to your butt. But I don't know, I kind of like those perks. They were fun. I just never used them. Alright, poisonous rounds nerfed, as it always is. All poisons are nerfed every patch. Acidic rounds also nerfed. What is this? Capacity is nerfed, as is superior energy, which is the other form of capacity. And from what I hear, before you used to get, I think it was 6 grenades with Kyra if you went double capacity. And now if you go double capacity, you can only get 5, which I assume it rounds down. And that's what's happening. Or it just hit that point where the most effective values is not going double capacity. I think they were against stacking to hit 6 grenades. It also nerfs, who is it? Hank, Val, Sunny. Who else has those valuable beams? Blitz Markov takes a hit from it. He can't get his max damage out for as long. Yeah, I think those are the big ones who are hit by it. But Kyra is the one a lot of people are upset about. And swap speed gets nerfed for tier 1 red, tier 2 silver, but not tier 3 gold. I don't think there is a gold swap speed though. So from before it was 70% down to 60, and it was 30 down to 27.5. I think I didn't get hit at all. Yeah, I would run a lot of swap speed on characters like Markov so I could plant mines constantly, and Maggie so I could plant my harpoons constantly, and Electro Griffin because his reload's already really quick, and so being able to slow into a harpoon was very effective. And last but not least, reloader speeds were nerfed for silver and gold perks. I think they've had it coming. I've been using them a lot. They're really good. Fixed bug with decoy, that was already mentioned. Fixed issues with abducted when it would not grab. That's good because it was really frustrating when it wouldn't latch. I don't know what that means, but that sounds like it would have been funny. Oh, T-pose is where it's basically Jesus on the cross. Hands are out straight. He's shaped like a T. And it's like the default model pose because it lets you don't have to line up their arms or anything, you just put them in straight lines and you don't have to handle angles or anything like that. It's a design thing, so having it not do that is really good. And fixed an issue where Kyra's weapon radial would not properly show the type of grenade selected. That's a UI fix. Users can no longer grab extra keys by changing their roles after they get into character selection screen. So for example, if I queued up, I had monster first, and I get in and someone else really wanted monster, I could trade with them and get extra keys before. Now you can't do that because you're changing roles intentionally. I think what should happen is if you do that, you should be able to choose one person. But that might be abused. It definitely was being abused. You would see like a 4-stack go in, and everyone would end up swapping around in order to get the roll that they could so they could get extra keys. It was annoying. And that's this patch. So, enjoy the new fire. Crow and Kala handle the very rapid regen on damage reduction monsters. Good luck with that one.